Hi, this video is going to walk you through the MLA Practice assignment. This should be primarily review from what you learned about MLA in Comp 1. So I'm not going to go to a lot of depth that I would in Comp 1 because again, this should be familiar to you. So again, if you use the handouts, if you follow the rules, you should be fine. So the first thing to clarify is that you are not writing an essay. This is just proving that you know how to apply basic rules of summarizing, quotation, creating works cited pages, and doing basic layout and design in MLA style. So though you will have 5 paragraphs in your assignment, those paragraphs are just going to be a summary and then a quotation of each of the 5 sources, not topic, sentence, explanation, and all that. So again, up here at the top of the assignment, again, reminds you of what the purpose is to prepare you for the more intensive research and quoting that's coming with the next page, next several essays that we're going to write. So the first thing to remember is when you are creating a works cited entry, you're looking for these 9 elements. If you open the master guide to MLA, you can see I have given you the 9 elements right here with details. So if you're not sure how to do author names, you go to this section. It tells you the difference between how many authors you have, if it's a corporate author, and then it gives you examples of how to actually format that information in a works cited entry. So again, that's how to use the master guide with the assignment. You can also look at the Bedford Handbook, but students tell me that they think the master guide that I've written is a little bit easier to use, but you may find the handbook easier. It's the same rules, just again, different layout. Again, note that not all sources will use all 9 of these. You're supposed to look for them, and then you will put them in the order in your works cited entry that they appear here, but that not every book is going to have a version. And depending on the type of source, you're going to have a different location. It might be a page number. It might be a timestamp. So again, look at the type of source and then figure out what you're supposed to do. And I'd like to point your attention to here where I've given you common works cited templates. And so you can just basically see this is what goes into most books. Now, there can be variations, but this is just your standard stuff. I will tell you that for the book that we're using, you're not going to have a contributor or an edition. So you really just have author, title, publisher, and year. And notice here that this is in italics to remind you that you put titles of books in italics. We also have a journal article in print. So here is the template plus an example that you can use. We have an online web page. So there is a template with an example. We have a print article in a database, template and example. And then we have an online video, a TED Talk. So here's the template and the example. So go here, look at this, let that help you create your works cited entries. The next part, and again, that's the very last page of your assignment, right? The works cited page is always the last page of your document with the title works cited starting at the very top line. So in the body of your paper, you're going to be doing these summaries and quotations. So the first thing to understand is that for every source that I've given you, you are going to create a 2 to 3 sentence summary of the entire source. Right? Not just a paragraph in it, but the whole thing, right? Now, if you go to my guide to writing quotations and summaries, you're going to see right here, I give you a definition of what a summary is. I give you some general rules of summaries. And the one thing to note is that when we cite a summary, if we're summarizing the whole thing as opposed to just part of it, we have a different citation. If we're doing the whole thing, we just refer to the author. So we would say, in Plato's Republic, the philosopher argues that blah, 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 right? That's all I do. I don't put page numbers in parentheses because I'm not going to put page 1 to page 278, right? I just name the title of the work if I don't have an author or the author. If I am summarizing part of it, though, then I do give the page number. So it really depends on what you're doing. For this assignment, you're doing the whole thing, so you just use the author's name. And then here's how to actually do a summary. You're going to read or watch the entire thing to understand it. You're going to basically then look for that outline like I have you do for your essays. What is the main point or the thesis? What are the main supporting points or the topic sentences? And then what is the conclusion or the so what factor that the author comes to? And that is what's going to be your summary. You are not going to look at details like examples and statistics. You're not going to quote in this kind of summary. You're just going to basically tell me what is the main point, what are the supporting points? What is the conclusion that the author makes? And then in your summary, your first sentence is going to be your signal in with your main idea. So summarize the main point. Then you're going to follow that with the next 2 to 3 sentences that say, and these are the points that he makes to prove it, and this is the conclusion that the authors make. Right? The next thing is to stay objective. You're not giving your opinion or an evaluation. You are just telling me what exactly is going on in this piece. Keep it succinct. Again, don't include details or quotes. And again, at the end, give us that citation that is correct. Now, this section about how to blend summaries, paraphrases, and quotes, this will be applicable to your papers, but not to this assignment. And I make that point right here that for the MLA practice assignment, you are not integrating the quotations with the summary. You're giving the summary, and then you're following that with the quote. Okay, and then I give you a little checklist of the summaries followed by little templates that you can use if that helps you out. So this is what you should be looking for to create your summary, and these are some sample kind of sentences again to lead into them. All right, so the next thing in your paragraph is going to be that quotation. You're going to start your quotation with a signal phrase, and then you're going to give me short or long quotations. So if you'll see here, it says, for everything except the book chapter, you're going to use short quotations. The book chapter will use a long quotation. So what is that? We'll go to the guide to writing quotations, and at the very beginning, you're going to see, again, why do we use quotations? What are some general rules? What is a signal phrase so that you understand what that is? And then short versus long. So a short quotation basically refers to how many lines it takes up in your text when you type it, not how many it is in the original, but how many lines it is when you type it into your paper. If it is 4 or fewer lines, it's a short quotation. If it's more than 4 lines, then it needs to have that long quotation format. That's prose. Poetry has different line numbers. I've given you that, but you don't need to know that for that. So here are some examples of short quotations with and without signal phrases. So here are here's again what a block quotation is, and here's how to format a block quotation. So you're going to introduce it with a signal phrase that ends with a colon, right? The 2 periods on top of each other. You're then going to hit enter and start the quote on a new line. And you're going to indent that 1 inch from the left margin. You're going to, again, keep it double spaced. You're not going to use quotation marks. By indenting it, that block indent, you are using that instead of quotation marks. And then at the end, you're going to put the period before the parenthetical, not after. So like here, this is a short quotation. Notice you end the quotation with the quotation marks, you give your parenthetical, you give your end punctuation. But in a block quotation, you're going to put the period, then your parenthetical, no quotation marks. Okay? So that, again, you're only doing this one for the book. All right. Here again are some signal phrases. Then I've given you some good and bad examples of some things. Again, not all of these will apply to this assignment. This is a general handout. And again, some questions. And then again, we go to the summary section. Okay, so that's the parts. Now, what sources are you using? You have to use the 5 that I've provided. Right. So here is your journal article. This is your web online magazine. Here is your journal article from a database. Then you've got the chapter from the book, but you're going to cite the whole book. You're not going to cite just the chapter. You're just going to cite the whole book, but you're only going to summarize the chapter. And then here is your video. Right? Again, you can't choose your own sources. You must use these. And then when you put it all together, you're going to use that MLA layout format. And I've given you the specifics, again, some proofreading tips. And then here is, again, how to submit it with the file name that you need to use if you're using DOCX or PDF. So let's look at the example. So here you have the standard MLA page 1 heading. That's going to be your name, followed by your professor's name, followed by your course information, followed by the date that the assignment is due. So for this course, you're going to have your prefix, which is ENG. You're going to have the course number, which is 1113, 1213, right? Then you're going to follow that with the section number. If you're not sure what that is, go to Brightspace and look right up here. That's your course prefix, course number, and section number. You're going to ignore the first part, Comp 2, Comp 1 over. You're just going to use these last 3 pieces of information. That's going to be what you do here. And again, format your date correctly. MLA separates day and month and year. So you're going to give the day, you're going to give the month, you're going to give the year. You can abbreviate the month or you can spell it out here. You have to abbreviate it on the works cited page unless it's May, June, or July, and we spell those out. Right. The 5th line is going to be your title. Everybody's title should be exactly this: MLA Practice, with MLA in caps because it's an acronym. Then we're going to start our first paragraph. It doesn't matter the order that you put these sources in. Just pick one and do it. And you'll see here that I've got my 2 to 3 sentence summary. Then I've got my short quotation. Then I'm going to start a new paragraph. There's my summary. Here's my quotation. Then I'm going to start a new paragraph, summary, quotation, and then this is the end that has the long block quotation. It's the book. So you can see how that flows. Then I'm going to, no matter where my last quotation ends, I'm going to start a new page for my works cited. I'm going to center the title works cited, and it does need to be works because you've got more than one. I'm going to alphabetize my list by whatever the first letter is here, right? And then I'm just going to use my hanging indent and give my citations. Again, this is exactly what you did in Comp 1, so this should just be reviewing. Okay, so let's actually briefly go to assignment. So this is the essay template form that I've given you that has all of the spacing and everything set up for you. Now, sometimes, if you were just to replace this here, right, then the formatting isn't going to change, right? So you can, do this. My name is already up there, right? So this is going to keep your formatting the same. If you paste your paper from another document in here, though, it might change the formatting. So let me show you how you can make sure that your formatting is correct. Now, by the way, I do not recommend you use the online app of Word. It is a mess. I can't even figure it out, and I'm an expert user in Word. It is awful. So download, again, if you go here to our home page, go down to where your mail icon is. Come up here to the waffle, click it. Do not choose this. Instead, go to more apps. Then over here where it says install apps, hit Microsoft 365. And then it's going to take you to a page where you can then click down install Office, right? This is what you want to do so you actually have a free version of the entire Microsoft Office on your computer, whether it's a Mac or a PC. You can see here you can install it on up to 5 PCs or Macs, 5 tablets, or 5 smartphones. So you can also download the smartphone version, which I think is still easier to use than the web version. So again, I'm only showing you how to do this because this is the only one that actually works consistently. So if you're not sure if your formatting is correct, one of the first things to do is just after you finish typing, hit Control A. Notice that up here you can see Calibri and 12 point. That means that every word in my document is in Calibri 12. If I accidentally did that, notice that all of a sudden that's blank. That means that there's conflicting formatting. So if I do this, everything is going to be the same. So I want to make sure that in this case, all of my words are in Calibri 12 point. Okay. The same thing is going to go for my spacing. So I'm going to go up here to paragraph. I'm going to click this menu and I'm going to make sure that under spacing, the before and after say 0 and the line spacing says double. Right? I don't want this to have any numbers in it because that means it's going to be bigger than double spacing. Now you'll notice that indentation left and special are blank. That's because I have first line indent here. I have no indent here. I have block indent with my quote, and then I have hanging indent with this. So I have multiple different kinds of indent. So that's all right. If I want to make sure that my works cited list has hanging indent, then I'm going to go up here and notice it all says hanging 0.5. So if I just highlight my works cited entries and then come up here and click hanging, it's going to do it for me. If at the end of every single works cited entry, I have a hard return. So consider each one of these works cited entries their own little paragraph. And I need to hit enter for it to give me that works cited indent. All right. When I am doing my page number here, I'm going to double click up here in the margin. Let me just delete this right now to show you how to do it. I'm going to go to page number, top of page, page number 3. And then I'm going to type my last name with a space before. Now I'm going to make sure, notice this says 11 font. Sometimes Word is defaulted to something with 11 point font, not 12 point font. So I need to fix that. If you want to make sure that your document has the right size font so you don't have to keep changing this, I can come up and I can go to font and I can hit set as default. So if I hit set as default, then it's going to say all documents based on the normal dot template are going to have Calibri 12 point as the default font. So when I click new blank document, I have to close out and reboot. And then when I click new default, it's not going to do Aptos, it's going to do Calibri. Aptos is fine. I don't mind using Aptos because it's very similar to Calibri. It's readable on the page, and that's important. Okay, the last thing you're going to do is you're going to, again, save the file, MLA underscore your last name, and then save it as a DOCX or a PDF. And then you're going to upload it to the right folder. So we're going to go up here and we're going to upload it to the assignment folder for the MLA practice. Now, if after watching this video you see that you did something wrong, then just upload a new folder, a file, and it will overwrite the file that you actually first uploaded. So I only have one file. I won't have multiple instances, so I'm not sure which one you want me to grade. Okay, so hopefully that clears up how to do the assignment. Again, pay attention to the example, print it off and print your file off and then compare them side by side. Obviously, the lines are going to be different because, you know, your summary might be 3 sentences and one of the example summaries was only 2. But you can at least see, are you doing the right thing? Are you following, you know, the right formatting guidelines to help make sure that you're making the right choices? This is a 100-point assignment, but it should be easy for you to get a really strong passing grade because you're only following rules. You're not having to create any content other than the summary. But I'm not going to be super picky about the summaries. I just want you to make a good faith effort to show me that you kind of understand what summarizing is, but, you know, don't worry about it not being perfect, right? But you can make sure that your works cited page and your parentheticals and your layout and design is perfect. So again, focus on that, do your best, and don't forget you also have that MLA practice test and the MLA exam. You cannot take the MLA exam if you haven't taken the pre-test. So make sure you're doing that. It's only 16 questions. It helps prepare you for the MLA exam by kind of showing you exactly what kind of questions you're doing. And again, you use the master guide to MLA for that because the test is built on the master guide. All right, good luck. Again, email me if you have questions, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Bye bye.